What's up, YouTube? Capital G here. Alright, so this is Simon He's top 8 deck from YCS Rhode Island. As you can see, it's Agents. I don't have a side deck or an extra deck because it hasn't come out yet, but I mean, for the most part, with the extra, I mean, it's Agents. You can pretty much guess what's in there. You know, a couple of rank 3 exceeds because he's running the tour guide engine, and, you know, probably synchros 5 through 8, you know, most of the good ones, especially like Android because he has Honest and whatnot. They're really not as important, and those will come out eventually. The main deck is really what's important here. So the main deck is as follows: 3 copies of Shine Ball, 3 copies of Hyperion, 3 Venus, 2 Earth, 2 Trigodia, 1 Gores because he doesn't really run traps, so you got to have some way of stopping attacks. 2 Tour Guide, 2 Spirit Reaper, 2 Max C, 2 Veiler. We've got both Chaos Monsters in here, Chaos Sorcerer and BLS, 1 Christia, Herald of the Orange Light, Honest, Sangan, Thunder King, 3 MSTs, 1 Mind Control, 1 Enemy Controller, 1 Creature Swap, 1 Forbidden Lance, 1 Dark Hole, 1 Heavy Storm, 1 Monster Reborn, and 1 Treacherous Trap Hole. Okay, so the first thing that stuck out to me is the fact that outside of MST, every spell and trap in this deck is ran at 1. That's like utility out the ass. I mean, that means you're not really backed into having to ever worry about, you know, drawing multiples of a certain card and not being good outside of, you know, the MSTs. And this deck doesn't play traps for the most part. So, I mean, MST seems probably like the one card that you're going to need multiples of. Treacherous Trap Hole seems really slick in here because it's like the same way that Monarchs used to run. I could even see some people potentially running this card in a deck like Heretics to where, or Chaos Dragons. It's like you're only going to run 1 trap. It's chainable, and the MSTs your opponents playing are going to be dead against you almost always. Treacherous Trap Hole can take out 2 monsters on the field. That's really good in a deck that, outside of Hyperion and Chaos Monsters, isn't flooded with monster removal. The one thing I like about this deck is this might be the first agent build that I see that doesn't like fucking lose to drawing Mystic Shine Balls or just even dead copies of its other agents. The one thing that I've always hated about agents, and I'm starting to realize this is why probably people are going to 2 copies of Earth instead of the standard 3, is once you use your Christia, or excuse me, once you use your Venus early, or you search your Venus with Earth, those other copies of agents, they don't have a ton of utility. So, I mean, this deck, because he's running Enemy Controller and Creature Swap and Herald of the Orange Light, like he has enough utility to get out of those Mystic Shine Balls and to get out of those extra copies of Earth and Venus and so on and so forth. Like, your opponent has a Thunder King on the field, oh, and you have a Mystic Shine Ball in your head that's kind of dead. Summon it and activate Creature Swap. Summon it, you know, activate Enemy Controller. Take your opponent's BLS. Take their Dark Arm Dragon or their Thunder King. Attack for game. You know, you can, if you don't have those cards, you can always pitch him to Herald of the Orange Light, which he only runs 1 of, but 1 seems like a pretty good number because, again, you don't ever want to be flooded with a whole bunch of dead cards. Not to mention, it can really be a neg in certain situations. The 2 Spirit Reapers are really good in here. One thing agents can struggle with is they can struggle with defense, and these decks don't really run a heavy trap set. So, you know, you're playing against a deck like Dino Rabbits or 6 Samurai, it's like until you can get some field presence, Spirit Reaper can just kind of sit there, you know, make sure your opponent can't get out your life points until you're ready to make that big push play. So overall, I think his deck is really, really solid. Agents in general, they just remind me, they're like a much more controlled version of Lightsworn in my opinion. Like, you don't have the big beater who blows up the entire field, but you have Hyperion who's ridiculously easy to summon, as is JD, but you know, he's a little more controlled. Again, your Chaos Monsters, same as Lightsworn, where you can run BLS and Chaos Sorcerer. The difference is here, you don't have to worry about milling them. You have big ass lockdown monsters, again, like Christia, which you can drop and just win the game. And of course, you have your other big ass beat sticks like Gores and Trago, which you can drop. It's just, you don't have that aspect of luck like you do in Lightsworn, where it's like, oops, I milled the wrong cards. Oops, I milled the right cards. You know what I mean? So I definitely think agents are a deck that are on the rise. The fact that they don't have to worry about cards like MST hitting their most valuable cards, much like Chaos Dragons, also puts him in a really good position. So tell me what you guys think of his deck, and let me know what you guys think of agents. Talk to you guys later.